Hey guys, it's Aaron Classic Gamer. We just got the NESPie awesome project all complete. We've got ourselves a really cool USB controller here that plugs right in here to one of two USB ports. We also have two additional USB ports and a LAN adapter here as you pull up the loading bay of where you would put a cartridge in if this was an original NES. Here is the SNES Classic made by Nintendo, just for reference, so you can understand how small the NESPie actually is, or the Retropie, whatever you want to call it. Then I have the NES30 Pro Bluetooth gamepad here. It's completely wireless. Got dual analog sticks. You can click in the thumbsticks. We've got L1, L2, R1, and R2 buttons here, so for maximum functionality. We've got a program so we can play on MAME, I don't know, NES, Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, all sorts of good stuff. Sega Genesis, Neo Geo, there you go, Anthony, Neo Geo. 2 red buttons and 2 joysticks. The SEGA Master System. We went with a more retro theme with this. There's about 5,000 games on this system. Much like the SNES Classic here that has workable buttons here. The NES Classic inspired NESPie, I guess, or NESPie, whatever you want to call it, also has working buttons. The reset here will actually break the power and reset the system, and we also have a power button. Let's go ahead and press it and get it started. We're going to adjust the camera here so that you'll be able to see what is going on here. Bam, bam, bam. Got to get it all centered with our handy dandy awesome camera skills. We'll get the lights turned down so you can see it. Really cool retro music and theme to all of this. I think you guys are going to like it. We're going to be using our wireless Bluetooth controller here. We'll check out the menus and go from there. As you can see, the light is on the NESPie. Pretty cool, guys. Pretty cool. Let's get recentered here. Yeah, I know. Our camera skills are horrible. But it was kind of fun there just to play around a little bit. We're lighting up our NES30 Pro. Woo, blue lights! So there we go, guys. We've got the arcade, which is MAME. We've got the Atari 2600, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Gameboy Color, SEGA Master System, SEGA Genesis, Neo Geo, of course the NES, and the TurboGrafx 16. So we've got 94 games on TurboGrafx 16. On the NES, we have 777 games. The Neo Geo, we have 140 games, which is most of the library. The Sega Genesis, we have 688 games, I believe is most of the library. The Sega Master System, we have 272 games. The Game Boy Color, we have 528 games. The Game Boy Advance, we have 993, really cool collection there. A lot of Japanese titles that have been translated. We've got the Game Boy, 544 games. Atari 2600, we have a whopping 306 games. Not the whole collection, but most of the stuff that matters. On the arcade, we have a curated list of only 426 games. Really, really cool. I think you guys are going to like it. Super Famicom. The cool thing about this is it may only have 128 games, but the games that are on there, most of them are, you know, RPGs, the really famous stuff, all the Final Fantasies and stuff like that from Japan, and they're all translated to English. So as you go into the menus, you can see different games that are on here. Some really cool stuff. You got the cool retro music and sounds. You've got the Dragon Quest games. Again, on the right it tells you what kind of genre all of this is, and then it has a picture of the game box, original art on the left. There's your Fire Emblem games, the original Fire Emblem games. We've got our Final Fantasy 4, 5, and 6. really cool stuff here, guys. As you can see, it goes on for a while. Some other classics. Really cool stuff. Some shoot 'em ups. We hit B, we go out of this menu. Here's our Super Nintendo. We have 765 games for that. Also tons and tons of classics. Little hard to find stuff. A lot of Capcom games, Castlevania, Dracula X, all the good stuff here. Of course, Chrono Trigger. Yeah, that's right. That wasn't included on the SNES Classic, but guess what? It's included on here. Pretty cool stuff. So let's go into the arcade section. I'll show you how that's all set up, and then we'll check out the Neo Geo stuff. So here's the arcade stuff, and then the CPS system by Capcom has a sub-menu, and we have most of the classic Capcom games. But even some newer stuff like Giggling 2, some older stuff like Ghouls and Ghosts, Hyper Street Fighter, and they all play great. Mars Matrix, another really cool shoot 'em up. Street Fighter Alpha series, Street Fighter 3, all the various iterations of that. And then we've got, like X-Men versus Street Fighter, Children of the Atom, really cool stuff. Then we have just regular MAME here. Also some really cool stuff. We've got the classics. We've got, Galaga, Bosconian, all the Pac-Man, Centipede, cool stuff. Defender 2. Then we have, what's really cool I like about this is we have a bunch of the 90s shoot 'em ups from Japan. Dondonpachi 2, B-Storm, Dodonpachi, Daiju, Joe, I don't know. Dodonpachi, of course the Dig Dugs. Really cool stuff though. The Donkey Kongs, like we said. There's the Galagas. Espauga or Galuda, I don't know. Anyway, it's a fun game. You don't have to know how to say it. A lot of the cave shoot 'em ups there. Some more modern stuff. We have the Gunbirds on here, Gyrus, all sorts of really cool stuff. It does have the 4-player Simpsons and X-Men and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game and Turtles in Time. So there's Proteus, Phelios, a lot of cool shoot 'em ups. There's of course the Venerable Popeye. Of course we have that down in the basement cave. Just a lot of cool stuff, guys. The R-Types, the Raidens, or Raiden. I know you guys hate how I say Raiden, but really cool little setup. Let's go ahead and, since it's NES, let's go ahead and jump into that after we show you the Neo Geo collection here. Oh, we jumped into a game. The cool thing is we can jump right out by pressing the Start and Select button here. And we're immediately right back to the screen here. Here's good old Magician Lore. Let's start that up. And you would just give it a coin, just like you would, like if you're playing MAME. It looks awesome. It's all coming to the screen in 1080p. Of course, it's letterboxed. It's blocked out a little bit. All right, SNK. Dale of the Evil Gods. And we'll play some Super Nintendo stuff here in a minute. I love this game. It's really cool to be able to play this with a gamepad. Of course, it's better with the Neo Geo controllers, but it's nice to just sit back with a wireless gamepad and play once in a while. Awesome music. It's got all the most current emulators on here for the Retropie. We'll go ahead and get just a little bit farther here and we'll jump out of this. Alright. There we go, guys. Like I said, it immediately jumps you right back into the system here. Pretty cool. Really cool front end here, guys. There's Sega Genesis. We were going to check out the NES. And of course it plays all that really good. There's 1942, a game that's very familiar to us. Let's see. How we jump into some Castlevania. You'll see how it plays Castlevania 3. I just really like all the menu stuff. Here's a loading screen. Very retro feel to all this. This has become my primary Retropie. We never did get the NES Classic, so this was my way of making up for that. Alright. You just see the opening here. And whip it good just for a minute there, and then we'll jump out of that and we'll show you some more of the arcade stuff. Just a really cool setup, guys. Everything looks great. I have most of these games in my collection, especially for the NES. And as we're around the 400 game mark. This plays the games just as good as I remember, if not better. It's also got the scan lines and things that you can enable. I choose not to. If I want the scan lines, I'll play it on the actual CRT. As you can see, it just plays great. Plays like you remember. I did the update for the NES30 wireless Bluetooth controller, and there's no lag that I can discern. I use this controller also along with the SNES30 Pro Bluetooth controller on the Nintendo Switch. This one does not have the motion controls, which is okay, because we're just playing retro stuff. Let's jump out of the game here. Just completely and utterly seamless. You can go from system to system like this. And check out a Game Boy game here. Something real familiar. Probably jump into some Pokemon real quick to see the opening. Pokemon Blue. I got all 151 on this back in the day. Good old Mew, the best, I guess, Pokemon in the entire game that I've ever seen. It even duplicates the green, the nasty green of the Game Boy. Let's go to the arcade, guys. Let's play something somewhat familiar here. Maybe a little more demanding game. How about something a little newer anyway? Maybe one of the Don Pachis. What about a good old B-Storm here? And it loads up pretty quick. It has to do, you know, the ROM checks and all that kind of thing, just like you would have. That one didn't want to load this time. Generally, it's not an issue, but just depends. All these things can be temperamental at times. It looks like Don Pachi is getting loaded up here. We hit our select button to put coins in there. It's going to give us our little warning that we shouldn't play the actual arcade elsewhere, and we'll not do that. I promise, Cave. Good old Atlas. All rights reserved.
The next countdown Okay, the countdown begins. 3, 2,
This looks great, guys.
Go.
hard playing this through the viewfinder, guys. Sorry. Let's see, what's one we played the other day? Let's see. Ba, ba, ba. This is from 2003, so this is a little more of a current game. Some of the sounds on the arcade stuff isn't perfect, but I can take that. But it looks pretty damn good. Most of what's on here is just, you know, retro stuff. Like I said, I wanted to go with a more retro theme, but as you know, I really do like to play shoot 'em ups, and it's really nice to be able to just sit down and do that. As you can see, there's no lag. I'm not having any real trouble here, other than staring through the viewfinder to play, which is never easy. Alright, let's get out of that. So just some cool stuff, guys. Just a nice little cool package of stuff. Here's Super Famicom. I know I like the Dragon Age games and Dragon Quest games, pardon me. There's Dragon Quest 1 and 2, and then 3, 5, and 6. Cool stuff, guys. Absolutely cool. Alright guys, hope you've enjoyed our little NESPie project and the unboxing and showing you the controller, and we ended up getting the SNES 30 Pro Bluetooth gamepad. You saw that, that was the last video. Just some fun stuff, guys. Really fun project. Put a fan in this, a nice little custom case by NESPie. So, alright guys, as always, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, and as always, happy gaming.